What if everything you've been told about food is finally starting to change? Welcome to the very first edition of Plant-Based Health and Truth Media. I'm Paul Floyd, and today we're breaking down 3 major health stories that are quietly shifting the conversation around what we eat. Let's get into it. First up, one of the most trusted heart health organizations in the world, the American Heart Association, just updated their dietary guidance. And here's the headline. They're telling people to shift away from red meat and animal fats and towards plant-based protein sources like beans, lentils, nuts, and seeds. This isn't some fringe opinion. This is mainstream medicine evolving in real time. Why does this matter? Because heart disease is still the #1 killer. And the very organization studying it at the highest level is now clearly pointing towards plant-based as part of the solution. That should make people pause. All right, second story. You might think you're eating pretty healthy, but this one could surprise you. New research is showing that even people who eat a generally decent diet, but include higher amounts of ultra-processed foods, are seeing worse focus and increased risk factors tied to dementia. We're talking about packaged foods, processed meats, artificial ingredients, things that don't resemble real food anymore. And the issue isn't just calories, it's inflammation. It's how these foods affect your brain, your gut, and your long-term cognitive health. So this isn't about living longer, it's about thinking clearly while you're here. And now the third story. And this one's getting a lot of attention. A report is suggesting that ketogenic diets may help push type 2 diabetes into remission by improving insulin function. And on the surface, that sounds like a win. But here's where it gets more complicated. Many keto diets are very high in fats, which are linked to increased cholesterol and cardiovascular risk. And that's a major issue, because heart disease is the leading cause of death for people with diabetes. So while you may improve one marker short term, you could be setting up a much bigger problem long term. And this is where the conversation needs to evolve, because there are dietary patterns centered around whole foods that have been shown to improve insulin sensitivity without adding cardiovascular risk. So the real question becomes, are we just managing symptoms, or are we actually solving the root problem? That's what this platform is all about. Cutting through the noise, looking at the real evidence, and connecting the dots between what we eat and what happens to our bodies. Because at the end of the day, this isn't complicated. The biggest health organizations are shifting towards plants. Processed foods are being linked to cognitive decline, and quick-fix diets are still missing the bigger picture. So where does that leave us? Right back at the basics. Whole, real, plant-based foods. And remember, folks, every bite is a decision. Choose wisely.